Welcome back for part two of Rachel Foy dazzling us all here on Your Biz, Your Rules. If you have not had a chance to listen to last week's episode, please make sure you go and do so because I can guarantee you will be so inspired to think about your sales, your marketing, your promotion, your launches in a whole new way. And I think that fresh thinking is a bit of what we all need, isn't it? Anyway, listen to this week's episode, listen to last week's episode, listen to all of the episodes, and please enjoy. Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Daire Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Okay, Rachel, let's have it. What is a rule that you have either created or adopted in your business?
So I guess kind of carrying on from our last conversation, it's around launching, but in the way that I now actually quote unquote launch, because it's not about launching at all. So have I created it? Possibly. I've definitely adopted a different way of inviting people into my world.
Tell us more.
Give me the juicy details. So where I've come to now, like in my business and in my work, is I now have this really, I guess, kind of easy, calming perception of when people are ready, they're going to step in. And when it comes to actually like launching my programs, I don't really have a launch model as such. As I said in the last conversation we had, I don't even use the word launching. It's more about making invitations. So the way that I now embrace that, which is really about selling my offers, is I do it in kind of two ways. So I do it intuitively, meaning I give myself full permission that if I ever have a moment of, oh my God, I've got an idea and that feels really exciting, if capacity allows, and I try not to overfill my schedule anyway, I just run with it and I will create something, talk about it, put it on social media, let everybody know. And quite oftentimes that's actually quite a fast turnaround. So my general way of doing that is probably about 10 days from start to finish. And I'll often get an idea, I'll start putting it out, letting people know, telling them how they can join. And within about 10 days, 2 weeks maximum, we've already started the thing. And actually doing that has been it's actually been really easy. And it allows me to tap into that creative side, which when we were talking last time, that very structured way of launching didn't allow me to do. It was more about now it's definitely more about being, I guess, more intuitively led, but also allowing the excitement behind the idea that I've got to actually be the fuel for the marketing side. You know, sometimes when, again, earlier on in business, it's like, well, how do I say the right thing? Like, you know, sales content and copy content, like what do I need to say? When you are so excited by the thing that you are selling, you already know what to say, like the words are already there. So I found that really quite easy to do. So that's one aspect of it. And then what I always do as well is, I guess the strategic side is that every month in my planner or my schedule is I do have one main thing that I will be selling, launching, promoting, but not in a launch sense. It's more about, this is here. Does anyone want to come and play? It's almost like a party. I often say it's like I just give out invitations. It's like, I've got this really cool thing. Does anyone want to come and join? And actually that's the energy that I launch in now, rather than cart's closing, you've only got 6 hours, come on everybody, you need to hurry up. I don't really like that energy anymore, so I just don't do it.
So I don't think we can talk about, launches, promotions without talking about marketing tactics. So are there things that you've noticed that you just feel excited to do, that you just love to do when you are focusing on a particular offer?
So something that I tend to do quite often, and I don't really see this as being a tactic, it's more of this feels like really generous of me, and I feel really excited to let somebody like know about it, is I will often do kind of like pre-enrollment prices. So a big thing that, and again, this was very organic. I haven't learned this and I haven't, taken it from anyone. It's just, no, this feels really exciting. So quite often I will get an idea for a program or, something that I want to create, but maybe it is sometime in the future. So it might not be this month, it might not be next month, it might be starting in a couple of months. And I will openly say, look, it's on pre-enrollment, meaning if you join now, you could save like 50%, or you're going to get, £500 off or £1,000 or an extended payment plan. And that doesn't feel like a tactic. It doesn't feel sleazy. It doesn't feel fake. It's legit. It's genuine. And actually there's that excitement then for me of like, this is an absolute, just come inside, because why would you not? And also for the person stepping in, they're often quite excited because they're stepping into something that they can look forward to, and they're going to be, saving a bit of money doing so. So I feel like it's a win-win.
Maybe I need a different word than tactic, because you recoiled from that.
I did, didn't I? So when you said it, I was like, no, we don't do tactics.
So by tactic, just to be clear, I mean any expansive act of sharing and inviting when it comes to your office.
Yeah, I wonder what other words we could use, because I genuinely did. The word tactic is like, oh no, that feels
like a bit... this isn't a tactic, but this is what I do.
Intention, market. I don't know. We might need to sit with that one. But yeah, that's one of the things that has just organically kind of come through. Because also as well, I know in our last conversation, we were talking about how a lot of the conventional launch models are open and closed cart, meaning it's like, peaks and troughs and the feast and famine of, in essence, it's a live launch, isn't it? And I decided to get rid of the live launch model quite a while ago. So my business as it stands right now, I do have like live programs that are taught, but the launching around that is not the only thing. It's not the only revenue stream for the business. And I think, again, a big part of like launching, we need to take that into consideration as well. So quite often I do get ideas for things, but if the schedule doesn't allow, but I know that I've got the bandwidth to, I guess, promote it and sell it, but I'm selling it in advance, and I totally go with that. And it's actually been quite interesting to, I guess, to just really do more of that this year, because it actually works. And also as well, from a very practical business revenue perspective, you're allowing revenue to come into your business quite often over payment plans for things that haven't yet started. So you're not relying on, well, this launch needs to work because there's nothing there right now, and I need this cash injection. Doing these little, I don't even want to say the word launch because it's not, but just inviting people in on a regular basis has really, it's just allowed like my business revenue to stop going like this, which is what it did years ago, to actually, it's a lot more, the stability there, which I think is important, isn't it?
So how do you feel about evergreen offers or like self-study things?
So my business model is actually a combination of everything. So I have courses which are like self-study, so people can just buy them whenever they want. Sometimes I will actively like launch them, so just basically talk about them more for maybe 3 or 4 days, because they're always there anyway. And then some of my like bigger things, and even actually masterminds, they're open enrollment, so they are available always. But when it comes to launching them, it's more about, I'm just very intentional on my content, what I say, what I talk about for a period of time. And my period of time, by the way, is a week. After a week, I get bored of talking about something, and I've given myself permission that that's okay. It doesn't mean anything, that I can then talk about something else. So that's also a big part of how I've shifted tactic around inviting people into things. It's like I'll talk about it for a week and I'll be really excited, and then usually after about a week I'm like, right, I want to talk about something else now. I've spoken about the mastermind for a week, I want to talk about something else. So actually that combination of self-study courses, evergreen like masterminds, programs, And then like one-to-one, I sort of sprinkle in as and when there's availability. It just works really well. So there's no pressure of, I have one program that I only run every 3 months. The doors are open and they're only going to be open for 10 days. Can't do it. Can't do it, won't do it anymore.
I can relate to all of that, especially the getting bored talking about the same thing all the time thing.
It's just so, I had this stupid rule not even that long ago of, but I need to keep promoting this thing for 10 days, 14 days, because that's what people say, you know, that people need to hear it and they need to keep knowing about it. And I kind of got to this place of, I don't want to do something that doesn't feel good now. And I know this is the concept of what you're doing and about breaking the business rules. And I just had this revelation one day of, but what if it's okay that after a week I get bored of my own voice? Okay, let's just embrace that and just move on. And it just shifted something massive, you know, because I think, again, there's just this ideology of, but you need to keep promoting your thing for a certain amount of time, even if you get bored of your own voice, you get fed up of keep talking, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, I would rather be in this peak of excitement for about 5, 6, 7 days when people can feel it than make myself try and be, I don't know, a little bit more high vibe than what I might be. And you know what? So far, it works. So I'm okay with that.
So I've now woven this, let's call it creative inclination.
I like that.
Into my business model at large. So now I do paid masterclasses twice a month, and then it's spread out throughout the month. And so I literally just have these slices of time to talk about things, and it's a different topic each time, which just fuels me. I love it. Makes me so happy.
Yeah. I think that can be really important, you know, just being really, I love the word intentional, like sort of intentional marketing or intentional launching, intentionality around selling. It just changes, or it has done for me, what that actually looks like. And I do kind of workshops and like little like mini programs or masterclasses, whatever you want to call them. I do sprinkle those in as well when I have the desire to, or when it makes sense, or, you know, if I've got an urge to teach something or share something. And yeah, that's, again, just creative permission, isn't it? It's like, I get to do this. Oh yeah, of course I do.
I like to think that that's all strategy is, like doing something with intention.
That is actually my definition of strategy. So one of my courses or programs, we talk about being like very strategic. So I think sometimes, like when you said the word tactic, how I went, ooh, I think sometimes strategy can also be one of those words that energetically, especially in like the magicians of the world, it can land in a way of like, that feels like restriction. It sounds like you're putting me in a box. You're telling me what I need to do. I'm going to rebel against that before you've even said anything. I can't
change my mind.
Exactly. So for me, or certainly in my world, we don't really talk about strategy. We talk about just being intentional. And what does that look like? Because ultimately that is what strategy is. You're being intentional about your focus, what you're sharing, what you're showing up about, what you're selling, what you're inviting people to step into. That's all that strategy is.
Take notes, everyone.
Yeah, that's all that strategy is. So funny how words can have such a visceral response in the body, can't they? You know, especially some of these very, I guess, quite masculine, heavy, like energy-wise words, like you said, tactic or strategy. Even things like marketing as well. Sometimes I've, you know, had clients who are like, oh, just the whole concept of marketing, content creation is another one. It's like, right, but content creation is you just expressing yourself. What does that look like? Okay, I can get behind that idea. Okay, so is it written? Is it video? Is it audio? Is it a mixture? That's all that content creation is as well. So yeah, shifting words can sometimes be a way that we get to break, I guess, rules or certainly perceptions of stuff.
And I think we see that across the board. So not just with the hypermasculine words, but if anything gets used to excess, people can have really strong reactions to the word. Even words like alignment, embodiment, things that are said very much now in coaching and healing spaces. People can have like really strong negative reactions to hearing those words.
Yeah, I think there's a few, I was having, so funny, it's like divinely timed. I was having this conversation literally last week with someone, how certain words like calibration, codes, anything around codes, like unlocking your abundance codes or codes this, codes that. Yeah, I think sometimes if they feel like they're overused, they can start to, I guess, land for people in a different way. But I think also as well, and again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier, of just being really transparent. I think sometimes there's this complexity of let's find a really different way of saying something really simple, and I think sometimes that can be, or certainly it has been true for me. I just want simplicity. Rather than someone making something sound a bit more fancy or a bit more sometimes or a bit different. It's like, just say what it is. It just doesn't have to be about recalibrating to wealth codes. It's like, how do you make more money? Let's just keep it really simple.
Yeah, this is something I used to say back in the days when I used to do content for people, is clear is better than clever every second of the day.
Yeah. There's so much truth to that, isn't there? That took me a long time to learn that, by the way. It's like, it needs to be more fancy, or it needs to be written in a different way, or I need to stand out. And actually, a confused mind, one of my mentors always used to say, a confused mind doesn't buy. And that's something that I know, it's one of the filters that I run everything through, from selling, launching, content creation. It's like, does this actually just sound really straightforward, simple, and clear? Because if it doesn't, there's going to be like straight away, the way that someone processes it might be just reject.
Well, and I also think you've got to ask yourself, like, are you saying things a certain way from this place of like ego? Like, I want to seem magical, I want to seem cool, I want to seem clever. Or are you saying it from this place of service? Like, I want people to understand what it can do for them, because those are two very different motivations.
Oh my goodness. This again is a whole different conversation for a podcast, Daire. As soon as you said it, I'm like, I've got so much to say about this. So when you sort of think about the ego concept, which obviously we all have, I think sometimes that does massively influence business, doesn't it? For all the wrong reasons, from launching, from how we do things, how we show up, how we sell, how we price. I mean, there's so much ego in pricing. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you're right. I think that mindset of being in that place of service is about clarity. It's about simplicity. Sort of speaking for myself now, it's about helping another human being, full stop. And how we decide to do that, what that looks like for us, what launch model we use is completely irrelevant. It's about being in that place of, I'm here to serve and to help another human being. And that's it. Like, that's all I need to know as one of my core values of my business. And I just allow that creative, intuitive strategy, which is just intuition and intentionality, to, I guess, lead the way.
I think this brings us full circle to what we were talking about in the last episode about putting more of the focus on the deliverance than the promotion.
So a little while ago, just a quick story to sort of highlight what we're saying and the power of this. I had an idea, very spontaneous idea, to get a group of people together. It was going to be like a bit of a mastermind, but with a slight twist. And I just ran with it. And it was all about keeping it super, super simple, no sales page, nothing. And all I did was write out this invitation on, I think it was on a Google Doc, and it wasn't even formatted. It was just written in 12 size font with nothing apart from this. And that was the thing that I sent out to people. I had one woman reply who said that she was so bowled away at the simplicity that it didn't feel like I was selling. It didn't feel like a sales page. And she signed up immediately off the back of the fact that it was just really simple and it was all about helping. And I think I took something so powerful from that example, because I realized that at the end of the day, human beings, they just want help, assistance, support. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be nurtured. They want to be respected. And actually, sometimes this whole marketing stuff, it gets in the way. So whenever I feel that I'm trying to do a little bit more, which comes from ego, I always try and step back into, is this required? Am I making this about me? Because it's never about me. It's always about the person I'm here to help. And can I simplify it? And if there's ever some kind of, well, yes, answer to any of those, then I have a responsibility to do what is required. But simplicity is it's a big part of how I do business now, because I overcomplicated it for quite a number of years unnecessarily.
You just reminded me of something. So I remember probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was on a group call and somebody was talking about sales pages. And it was like another person in this group with me. And she was talking about how she really appreciates a well put together sales page because she thinks it makes somebody look like a professional and it makes them seem like they know what they're doing. And I had this light bulb moment of like, hang on, is that why I'm spending half my life putting together these sales pages? Because I think it makes me look good. Yeah. And from that point, I've just backed off the whole idea of the jazzy sales page. Like, yes, I will put information on a checkout page. Like, it'll be clear what the thing is. Sometimes there'll be some nice colors in there.
Yeah.
But gone are the days when I will spend weeks obsessing about that perfect sales page.
I hear you. And I think, again, that's about, obviously, there's always going to be personal preference. There will always be people who won't ever buy anything, join anything, unless there is a flashy sales page. That's totally cool. I think it's just about owning where we are, what works for us, how we feel. And obviously, brand position and everything else is still relevant. But yeah, I think sometimes, and I know that I have done the same, spent far too much time trying to perfect something, because actually that need to perfect it was actually the issue. It was feeling inadequate, not good enough. I mean, gosh, we could say so much about that, but actually realizing that, or certainly now I do, it's not a requirement. Like, I truly believe that we are contracted on a soul level to work with certain individuals, and they'll always be ready when they're ready. They'll always find us when they're ready. The timeline is always divine. And actually our responsibility is to just keep being there so that, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. And those people that I'm contracted to work with, and vice versa, they're going to be saying yes to me, whether I've spent X amount of time or money on a flashy sales page, or if I'm just like, here's the PayPal link. There's not even a checkout page. It's just a PayPal button. It's not going to impact them wanting to work with me. And that is a belief that I didn't have many years ago. I only believed that success was going to come if I had the right launch model, the right format of emails, the right sales pages, the right format of sales pages. And it diluted my magic for such a long time because I was so fixated on like the marketing component that, you're right, sometimes I got to the deliverable and I was absolutely shattered, or it wasn't what I wanted because I was put so much pressure on myself. So yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah. So one of the things, like, and this is like a personal integrity thing for me, one of the things that I always try to ensure these days is that the vibe of my marketing matches what you get when you invest. Because I'm not going to put together this perfect singing, dancing, pristine sales page, because that's not what you're going to get when you work with me. Like, I am scrappy. I co-create with people. I show up very casually. I often wear my pajamas. Like, it's just, that's the reality we live in. So if somebody sees this sales page that is immaculate and then signs up and they get me with like a messy bun and no makeup, they're going to have feelings about that. They're going to feel like they've been missold an image.
Yeah, no, I really like that, because then this comes down to that marketing conversation that we had before, isn't it? It's like, or certainly my perception of like, how do I get to do better? It is about being honest, transparent, real from start to finish. And that's not to say that marketing is not important, not required. It gets to be as fancy and polished as you desire it to be. And some people, that is genuinely who they are. But I totally resonate with what you're saying. And actually a big part, as I just processed your perception of you, that is actually a big part of actually what I do as well. Like, sometimes those sales pages are a very unfancy PDF document that has got probably spelling mistakes in. And it's like, but this is it. Because actually some of those spaces that people step into, they are equally not polished and perfect, because a big part of my soul work with people is to help them unravel the polished and perfect version so that they can actually find their truth that allows them to have more success. Because a lot of the time that polished perfection that we think is required is the thing that's holding every single one of us back in way more ways than we realize from marketing to selling to content creation to price, like just all of it. So that simplicity is a big part of what I teach. And I like to think that I embody that on the front end with the marketing, that it isn't complex, because that's a big part of what I do with people anyway.
Simplicity is the key, in essence.
If I'd have known that years ago, I sometimes sit there and think, if I'd have known this a few years ago, but hindsight's one of those things, isn't it? I sometimes need to learn the lesson in order for it to really sink in.
Yes, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
I know. Very true. Very true.
Okay, so to wrap up, and I have a feeling that you'll have a great answer to this question. What is a song that really gets you in the mood, that makes you feel like your best self?
Oh my God, I have so many. What kind of genre do you want? What sort of decade do you want to?
And anything you like, something to add to our Your Biz, Your Rules playlist.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to do like a proper in the moment song, because there's so many that I could pick from. The one that I keep listening to at the minute is the new David Guetta song with BB Rexha.
Okay.
I think it's Blue. It's the sampled version of the 90s dance track. That's one at the minute. I mean, music is a massive part of my life, but that would be one if I just had to pick one, because I could probably pick thousands.
I will add it to our list. I'm curating like a very, let's say, eclectic.
Oh, amazing.
Next level self playlist based on all of these interviews that I'm doing. So everyone's submitting a song or two to add to the list.
We'll put that one in for now. There are plenty more though, but you can have that one.
Thank you. And thank you so much for joining me. I feel like these past 2 episodes have been so full of bombshell moments that I think could genuinely change the way that people do business, which is why we're here.
No, it's so important, because, you know, and just you, I guess, facilitating these conversations, these are things that, well, both you and I didn't know, did we, years ago? And I think if somebody can hear a conversation that allows them to go, oh, so I don't have to do it like that, or I get to do it in my own way, it's just going to help the people that are here, that are meant to help like humanity, actually get their work and message out. Is so important. So yeah, thank you for having me as well.
Anytime. Thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook, and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today. And tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over, shoot me a DM, or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show, and I will be back with you next week.